Meghan McCain, whose new book, Bad Republican, is out now. And it's so good to see you and talk with you and finally be on together.
I'm so happy to see you. I mean, I adore you and your husband, Chris, and we had like bonded many years ago about being women that the left sort of like get off on hating and sort of like being misunderstood. And you have just been such a constant source of emotional support. I think that people really need to know that about you. Like you so support so many women. I know Megyn Kelly and a bunch of other people in the industry. Like there's this sisterhood of conservative women. And I really, like, you and Chris have just been unbelievable. I've had numerous conversations with you and your husband about everything. And I just am so grateful. And I'm so happy I get to come on your show anytime I want now.
Yes, you can. And congratulations on this book. And you've had such a busy year. And I have to say the same thing about you and Ben. I mean, we've known your husband for a long time, and we've been talking with you for such a long time. And I was telling everyone earlier before you came on, because we've each gone through some pretty serious stuff. And it's a different, this is not like a regular 9-to-5 job. It's not a 9-to-5 job where you can go and you leave your work at the cubicle or your office and you come home. It is everything that you do is publicly scrutinized, and you have an additional layer of that because of your name. And everything you do is constantly scrutinized. Every look, the inflection in your voice, everything. And it becomes personal because it's not just professional. And I have to say that we've each gone through stuff, and you and Ben, you guys reached out. You were one of the small group of people that always reached out to check up on me and my family. And I've been very grateful for that, and grateful for your friendship as well. And I'm so excited that you have this book coming out and that you handled everything with The View on your terms from start to finish. And you're the only person I think that's ever been on that show that can say that.
I think Meredith Vieira, I am told, was the other one who left on her own terms, but she left quite a long time ago. I think she was on in like the early 2000s. So yeah, I mean, again, it's like kind of weird being interviewed by some of my friends because I'm in this place where like, you know so much.
I know.
Because like there were so many instances, even with you. Like I think one of the things that's hard is when you see friends and women you respect, and obviously like respect your work for so long and your books and just the incredible voice you've given to so many Americans. I think the hard part is when you see it being personal, people attacking like your looks, your relationship. One of my favorite Twitter accounts to follow is your husband, Chris, because he just gets super defensive and he'll just go for people's jugular. And I find it like so amazing. And I just respect the fact that he protects his wife and, he really goes after people who hate you and are nasty to you. And I think my husband does that too. And, I just wish it didn't feel so lonely because it really is. For every 10 million liberal women on television or in radio or whatever medium, there's like maybe one conservative woman, and then obviously there's like a spectrum of who's the most whatever and what space. And I don't know, I just wish it was a little more balanced in the way we're portrayed on television in general. Speaking of, my husband Ben just walked in. I'm doing an interview with Dana Lash, Ben.
Hi Ben. No, it's and this, like I said, and I really mean that. You made The View watchable. You asked like serious, hard hitting questions of guests. Like you asked serious questions of people. Did you ever? Because I've always wondered. You never got to see the reaction of the other women whenever you would ask a question that ended up going viral. What was the reaction to that like? Because you were the only one who seemed to actually take the whole situation seriously.
There were moments when they would look really annoyed, especially if it was someone like a Mayor Pete, who was sort of like a beloved person in the media and like a golden boy in a lot of different ways. And I remember asking him a question about abortion. I don't remember what it was, but he's like basically for late term abortion. I believe, again, I'd have to like remember and rewatch it. And his answer was something like, this is a hard decision for parents. Sometimes they've bought cribs and they've whatever. And I remember I was like newly pregnant at the time, I believe, and being like, give me a break here. Like you have like, don't even talk about, and I remember like hitting him hard on it. And yeah, I remember looking up at the table looking like, we're supposed to play nice with this guy because he's going to be the future of everything. So there were definitely moments.
Yes. And you are you do not hold anything back in your book, Bad Republican, which is on Audible. You can go to audible.com and get this book. You don't hold anything back. Like you really get into just how kind of nasty it was. I'm really curious as to how the Meghan now is different from the Meghan that first walked in her first day on the set as a host of The View.
By the way, you were one of the people I gave a list to, because I gave a list of 5 women that I thought would be amazing for the job.
God love you. You're so sweet.
One of the people that can handle it, honestly. Like, you've had to go up way worse than anything I ever did. I mean, we're talking like, like people that are anti-gun, like, Parkland people, like things that are just like things I don't think I could handle. I mean, one of the worst things I still think I remember happening in recent news media was that town hall you were subjected to. And I remember watching it with Ben and wondering how you were getting physically in and out of the building safely. Like, this probably isn't something that liberal women have to think about, wondering if their friends are going to be safe getting in and out of buildings after having, appearing on television at a town hall. I'm sorry, what was your question?
No, and to that point though, as well, I mean, you've gone through a lot of stuff publicly. You've had to live your entire life. I haven't had to live my entire life in the public eye. You have. I mean, from the time you were young all the way up until now, and then going and being a new mother, I would have strangled everybody at this point. You have way much more grace than I have ever had. And I mean, even like from the beginning when we met, you've always had much more grace than I've ever had. So I think don't sell yourself short, because you've been able to really flourish, I think, and hold your own in the public eye. But no, how were you different from the Meghan that walked on set that first day? I mean, I'm sure, because I think everybody was really watching to see what Meghan McCain was going to do on The View, because all these women, were you going to be the type of Republican that they wanted, which clearly you weren't. Yeah. But how are you different from that very first day? What's changed your perspective?
So much in my life has evolved. I think the way a lot of women in my age range and your age range, the sort of like older millennials, have. I was much more liberal when I was younger, and I was much more, I think people would like call me a squishy rhino and things like that. And that was sort of just like where I lived. I was in New York City and dating very liberal men, and like sort of had different kind of influences in my life. And then as I got older, just different things started happening. Like the old cliche, if you're not liberal when you're young, you don't have a heart. If you're not conservative when you're old, you don't have a brain. And I just started paying a lot more attention and taking my life a lot more seriously. When I worked in California, I worked on the show where I got more seriously. Radio really helped me a lot, because listening to so many listeners' perspectives from around the country, not just on the coast. And then working at Fox, obviously, like just getting to speak with so many conservative intellectuals and hearing different perspectives. And then honestly falling in love with my husband was really helpful. He has been like the most incredible rock for me throughout everything. And I remember making the choice when I went into The View that I didn't want to be like all the women before who were scared of the table. And I thought, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? They're going to yell at me. Like, I can handle that. And it did get way worse. Obviously, it got way worse than yelling. But I just thought it was important to actually try and speak truth from the perspective that wasn't being shown on the show as much as possible. I hope I did a good job. There are certainly moments I wish I could do over again, and they can be very intimidating. My heart goes out to the women who are auditioning right now, because it is a tough table. It's a tough background, like it's a tough set. It's like a tough studio to go into, like in a lot of different ways. And, they're sort of conditioned not to like you because you have a different opinion. So I just evolved, and now it's so funny, because when I was younger, I used to get like so much, can I swear on this show? I don't know. I used to get.
We are nationally broadcast around the country. So okay, baby, like PG swearing.
I used to get garbage. Can I say that?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I get so much garbage when I was younger for like not being conservative enough. And now when I'm older, it's like, I feel like the mainstream media treats me like I'm this like wing nut who has gone so far in the other direction. And it's just interesting to have both experiences.
Yeah. You're never going to be perfect enough for the people who expect you to be a certain kind, which kind of gets into the name of your book, Bad Republican. I mean, because there are people who think that you're a bad Republican because you're too conservative, and people who think that you're a bad Republican because you're not conservative enough. And that's a very interesting title for your book. We're talking with Meghan McCain, obviously her new book, Bad Republican, out at Audible. And I was listening to an interview that you did, and you were saying that before you left, you were giving the people there a rundown of, kind of what they could do to improve, and what you were talking about being afraid of that. I only guest hosted one time, and I was like, I don't know how she does this every single day. Goes in there, holds her own every single day, and you don't let those women wear you down. Like you don't move at all. And you gave I think it was the incoming president at ABC, like, this is what you need to do to improve this show. Can you share with like what you told her to improve it?
I had a really long conversation with her. And I will say she was not my boss when I was going through all this. She came in like a month before I left. Her name's Kim Godwin. And I had a really, I think, productive conversation with her. She seemed to really get it. I told her, unless you start getting some diversity of opinion behind the scenes and behind the camera, it's never going to change in front of the camera. Part of my problem was that every producer, like, and this is not hyperbole or an exaggeration. If they consider themselves Republicans, it was like, I voted for Bush in 2000. Like, it's like so dated and so far removed and like Republican adjacent, like things that were like semi-conservative at some point, like not true believers. And then I said, like, that was a big one where I was like, you have to have diversity behind the camera, in front of the camera. That the guests, all the Republican guests just can't be like anti-Trump Republicans. And like, everyone, I'm like feuding with President Trump right now. I don't like him, but I still think it's a huge faction of the country that needs to be represented. And I felt like a lot of the so-called Republicans that were brought on were like people that had just, completely crapped all over the part of the party that is so powerful right now. And just because you don't address it doesn't mean it's not there. There was a bunch of different stuff I gave her, and she was very receptive and very kind. And she almost talked me into staying. But I think I've talked to you off camera many times. New York City is just not a place I want to raise my child as well. That is true. It was a big factor in Ben and I's decision. And honestly, I just didn't see the show for me getting better. And I feel like once you start messing with a woman after she has a baby and returns from maternity leave, it was sort of for me like a bridge too far. Like it was like that was the threshold that was finally too much. And that's but again, I hope you audition.
Oh no, you are. I could not. I have no desire to go to New York. You are very kind to make that suggestion. No, I remember too the day that you came back from maternity leave, and Joy Behar said what she said. Women in my family who are not Republicans they were outraged at that. And that struck me with how far that resonated, because these were people within my own family who are not Republican, and they reacted to that. And I thought, wow, that really pierced through and went a lot of places that normally, that those kind of conversations wouldn't go through. There were a lot of people who thought that was just a bridge too far. And I think it planted a seed in a lot of people's heads. Like, that's just unnecessary nastiness. And it was your first day back after you had your sweet baby girl. And I have not met Joy. And I really don't think I would like her if I did.
She would be mean to you anyway, because
you're obviously back. It's all right.
A big, you can handle it because you're obviously a big Second Amendment advocate. Yeah, I'm not a victim. I'm not like a daisy here. I was suffering from very serious postpartum anxiety, and
it was a lockdown. We were in the middle of a pandemic, and so that was stressful enough.
Yes, and it was a lot. And then I feel like in this other faction of my life, I'm just so blessed and spoiled because I do have this community of women. They happen to be conservative. I have a few girlfriends who are liberal, but they're not like insane. But like people that you can call on and vent to. And I just don't understand why life can't be like this in general. Like if someone came to me and said, what do you think of whomever, Dana, whomever, like I have nothing but like love and kindness, and anything you would like need, I would give you. And I don't understand why. And we don't agree on many things. Like life is a whole kaleidoscope of opinions. And I just don't understand why it can't be like that. But I have found a very deep sisterhood in this way that has really, really helped me a lot. And in a show that's supposed to be about women and women supporting women, it was the total opposite for me. And I did feel like if my politics were different, that's
ironic. That's very ironic. We're talking with Meghan McCain, her new book, Audible. We've got about a minute left. So Meghan, I know you're producing a film. You're working on a film with Heather Locklear, which is amazing. Yeah, and aside from being behind the camera and in the production part of television, are you going to do television again? Because now with technology, you don't have to be in New York. You guys could, you could go back to Arizona, or you could go to the Republic of Texas, where we have our own gold depository. Just saying, and you could do TV, you could do whatever you want.
I'm super burned out right now. I really I really just want to go on with people who I respect and like. And I think if you join a network or things like that, you don't have that luxury anymore. So I'm just really enjoying doing what I'm doing. And everyone keeps it. They're like, oh, why isn't she on TV? Why isn't she on TV? And I'm like, there is life outside of television. Like it does exist. And so we'll see. I don't know. Right this moment, I'm just really happy being able to talk to people like you and take care of my daughter. And I'm writing this column for the Daily Mail and just like figuring it out. I haven't had a pause in a long time. And this book coming out was like, so it was like such a big juggernaut. You've written so many books, and Flyover Country is literally on our bookshelf, like with the cover facing out, just because the cover is so beautiful, by the way. Like,
I was inspired by a Vogue shoot. I'll text you the picture that inspired me later. It was like a really great Italian shoot. And I was like, oh, I love spaghetti westerns. So I'll send you that photo. No, but that's, and I understand that you have to take a pause, especially after this. I mean, it's been a whirlwind. And of course, it's not like you're totally pausing because you have a book out, you're doing this film, you have your column with the Daily Mail. And I'm so glad that you're doing, again, everything on your terms. The book is Bad Republican. Get it on audible.com. Meghan, anytime you want to come back on, if you're welcome to come back on. I have so much fun talking with you. I admire you. You have grown into being, you and your husband, such great friends of ours. And I love that it is a testament to you. I don't even agree with my husband on everything. You don't have to agree with people on everything to still find good friendship. So congrats on all your success, and give hugs to that sweet baby.
You too. Hi to Chris. I love him.
Thank you so much. Congrats, Meghan. We'll talk again soon. Take care.
Thank you.